Hello Eorzeans, I'm Lakeel Bravestone and welcome to this episode of Remnants of a Realm. Last week we looked back at Camp Bald Knoll, the Isles of Umbra, Mistbeard Cove, Skull Valley, and Halfstone, so make sure you're caught up on that before watching this episode. This week's episode's first location was teased to our patrons over at Patreon, outskirts of Ul'dah, Black Brush. Black Brush, and more specifically Camp Black Brush, was the first Aetheroid camp you'd encounter when exiting Ul'dah. It was located close to the Royal Allagan Sunway and the Royal Allagan Starway intersection in central Thanalan, just a short walk away from Ul'dah. The camp was, like Camp Bearded Rock in Lenosha, a beginner camp and therefore had everything you could possibly need: a mender, merchants, a gate warden, and a battle warden. Being a starter location, the camp was heavily involved in several side quests as well as class quests, most of them being low-level gathering or crafting quests, with the exception of the level 50 paladin quest Parley on High Ground, where the adventurer had to fight Genless and 4 Sultan Sworn elites, a quest that would reward the adventurer with the skill Spirits Within. The name of the camp comes from this location right here, which is the actual Black Brush. This area served little purpose, other than being the entryway to the loading tunnel between central and western Thanalan. The Royal Allagan Sunway served as Thanalan's main road to the Black Shroud, while the Royal Allagan Starway served as the main road to Ul'dah. Ul'dah had 2 entrances, but only one was connected to the Starway, the other opening out to Cactus Basin. Camp Black Brush was also connected to 3 ethereal gates: 4 Sisters, Cactus Basin, and Nanawa Mines, which we covered in a previous episode of Remnants of a Realm. So let's take a closer look at the other ethereal gates. 4 Sisters was an ethereal gate location to the southeast of Camp Black Brush. It served exclusively as a League Quest location, and only one mob type could ever be found here: Inferno Drake. The name 4 Sisters was never properly explained in 1.0's lifetime, but it was assumed at the time that the name came from the 4 cliffs in the area, although I still can't point them all out. One of the cliffs is curiously named though: Fesca's Watch, to the east of Cactus Basin. Speaking of, Cactus Basin was also an ethereal gate location connected to Camp Black Brush. It was located very close to 4 Sisters, but on ground level. Cactus Basin was a lush part of Thanalan and your non-stop place for Cactus. Cactus, cactus, rubber duck and cactus. Cacti, cactoons, cactus. In Cactus Basin. See you there. XOXO. The area stretched for most of the southeastern part of Thanalan and had several of these dotted areas, the dots being these rock-hard fingers sticking up from the ground. Other than that though, not much to say about it. It served as a League Quest location and nothing more really. Black Brush is notable for having another area though. Northeast of Black Brush you'd see this odd-looking smoke rising. Following the smoke, you'd end up at the bonfire at Mutamix Bubblepot's camp. This, of course, is where materia melding was learned. During the calamity, Atomos appeared in Camp Black Brush, bringing with him void-sent creatures, making Camp Black Brush a highly dangerous area. After the calamity, Black Brush survived, and the camp evolved into a train station, handling ores and minerals from mine trains coming in from Nanawa mines. This camp, as far as I've been able to gather, did not suffer any major damage during the calamity and thus had the chance to prosper and grow. The camp is still located near the intersection between the Royal Allegan Sunway and Starway, or, well, not quite. Blackbrush Station is literally the intersection now, so the camp has moved a little bit. When it comes to the Four Sisters, though, it got served a worse fate. Not because it was destroyed, because it wasn't, but because it became entirely inaccessible to players. The Four Sisters remains only as text on the map and can be seen from the royal plantations in central Fenelon. Cactus Basin, which used to be full of cactuses, was not treated well by the calamity. When the ecosystems in Fenelon got twisted after the calamity, the location got renamed to Spineless Basin to reflect the new look. Interestingly, in this location we find the Sultan Tree, which has supposedly been there for a very, very long time. Not in 1.0 though, which is expected. And what of the bonfire? Well, as you all probably already know, Mutamix is fine, and so is the bonfire and his trusty sentient cauldron? It's been moved way closer to Blackbrush, but other than that, looks more or less identical to what it looked like before the calamity. So that was Blackbrush and its surroundings. You know what I would like to do right now? No? Can't you feel it in the air? Can't you feel this sudden urge to do some Parley? Yes, boys and girls, Parley. Parley was an actual game element in Final Fantasy XIV that you were forced to do to complete the main scenario. It was used as a negotiation tool in quests instead of fighting, which made it easier for players maining, crafting, or gathering classes to get through the quests, seeing as their only attack was throwing stone. Parley was both hated and loved by the 1.0 community, though mostly hated. This was mostly attributed to its confusing concept, as well as the extremely slow animations. So here's how the game worked. To initiate a parley, you would have to seek the NPC you wanted to challenge. You'd be presented with this confirmation box showing the opponent's name, desired items, as well as required items. If the parley was a part of a quest, you would only parley about the quest. However, if you parlayed with a random NPC, of which there were disturbingly few, you'd trade a specific item to an NPC indicated by the desired slot. The reward would always be another item of the same kind, so basically doubling the item you offered. The NPCs would also have this difficulty rating, going from 1 star all the way up to 9 stars. The game would begin once you clicked Parley on the confirmation window and you'd be presented with this Parley board. And yes, this is the actual animation speed. A game of Parley played in 5 to 7 turns on this 4x3 grid. In each square on the grid, there would be a different icon with varying point values. The goal of the game was to have your point gauge, this thing, above the winning line here by the end of your last turn. If the line was not reached by the end of your last turn, you'd lose. So what did all these icons mean? Well, the icons themselves didn't mean anything. This goldsmith icon is not automatically worth more than a piece of rock. The points added to the icons were completely random, but that's where the strategy, if you can call it that, comes in. Selecting an icon on the board meant you would receive the points printed on that icon, but also any adjacent icon vertically and horizontally. So in this case, selecting the goldsmith icon would also give you the icon below it and to the far left. And yes, the slow animation was there at all times. At all times. So just to clarify it further, in this fictional board, what icon would you choose to get the most points? Well, the answer is this Lukiel icon, as it will grant you the icon below it and to the side for a total of 40 points. Fun, fun, fun! But Lukiel, this is too much fun. There is no way you can make this funnier. Oh, yes, each turn had a timer. If you failed to select a tile within the time limit, you gained 0 points for that turn. That would likely give your opponent enough of an advantage to win, which meant you'd have to start all over again. All over again. This system was only ever used in 2 main scenario quests and was then never used in that again. Just so you understand how quickly the system was abandoned, only 3 NPCs were ever available to parley with outside of quests. Additionally, the Disciples of Hand and Land whom the system was created for only showed up once in their questlines, only exception being Goldsmith, which for some reason had 2. But other than that, 1. The game was later added to A Realm Reborn as a minigame, through the Toy Box, unlocked by doing some good old Hildebrand quest. If you haven't tried it yet, I dare you to finish a round. I dare you. Anyways, we've reached the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you want more. I'm interested in hearing what you think about the stuff we looked at in this episode, so do let me know in the comments. Huge thanks to all our Patreons for keeping this series alive and to our Discord server for being cool cakes. I'll be back next week with another dazzling episode of Remnants of a Realm. See you then, Eorzeans, and may you ever walk in the light of the crystal.